All right, for today's video review, we're going to be taking a look at the Masters of the Universe micro action figures, Battle Cat and He-Man. Now, these are two separate products, like you can buy them each on their own. I just figured we'd look at them together just because there's not really a whole lot to say about these guys. So figured I'd do a couple of them in one review. These are the only two that I have. They also do have micro action figure versions of Skeletor and Tila, I believe. I might pick up Skeletor if I see him. I don't really feel the need to get Tila, but either way, what these guys are just like really, really teeny little versions of Masters of the Universe characters. The micro action figures line has a bunch of other things in it too. I've seen Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle ones. I have a little Bumblebee from Transformers, and I've also seen Starscream and Optimus Prime. So there's a bunch of them, but I think that they really kind of fit the spirit of the He-Man of Masters of the Universe toys. So I picked these guys up when I saw them. Taking a look at He-Man, he's got a lot of really nice detail on there. You can see he's got some nice painted detail on the face there, even though he's very tiny. I mean, you can just see the size of him with my thumb there. He comes with a few accessories. First off, he comes with a little display stand. He can stand without it. It's just, of course, his feet are very tiny, so he's not quite as stable. So I appreciate that he does come with a stand that just pegs into one of his feet there. Definitely makes him a lot more solid on the ground. Of course, he comes with his sword, very teeny tiny there. Comes with his battle axe, cool. His shield, of course, and he comes with a little knife. Okay, I don't I don't know if this is an accessory that's come with any previous He-Mans, but it is like really really tiny. But yeah, cool. In terms of incorporating them with him, he unfortunately, because he's so small, he doesn't have any way to store any of these things on his back or anything like that, like the Origins figure does. But and his armor is like a little bit disproportionately thick on him too, so like kind of looks a little bit awkward there. But for such a small guy, it's not too big a deal. But yeah, you can have him hold any of those accessories. You can put the little knife in his hand. We'll start off with that just because I think it's kind of cool. There we go, little knife. I think that's upside down, but whatever. Very hard to kind of orient that correctly. You can have him hold his axe. The plastic on these is just so thin that it's a little bit daunting and easy to kind of lose these. He doesn't really hold the axe all that well. I mean, he's got like a slightly like thicker part in the axe in the middle that might be better for him to hold it. Like he can kind of hold it at the base, but like actually holding it at the end of the axe, it doesn't work terribly well. But it doesn't really bother me so much because I'm always going to have him holding his sword. I just think it looks a lot better with the silver paint on there. And then in his other hand, oh gosh, if I can get him to hold even that, it's not even like he doesn't hold it super well. It's just really hard to like it's because the pieces are so tiny, it's hard to even arrange them properly. And then the shield, just like a lot of other previous versions, just clips onto the side of his arm here, so that stays on pretty solidly. And there you have him in his full weaponed up look there, and I think that's pretty cool. In terms of Battle Cat, the only real accessories he comes with is his armor pieces. Now, this is a separate piece, but it doesn't have the actual latch in the middle. It's just glued on. So I don't think. I mean, you could probably maneuver it. Oh, actually, now that I say that, you could probably stretch the armor in a way that you can actually get it off. I'm not really going to try to force it because I want to display it with the armor on anyway, but you could probably get the armor off if you really wanted to. And then the helmet comes off almost too easily. It doesn't really stay on there particularly well, but if you're just having them static on the shelf, it's not too big a deal. But yeah, looks pretty good there. One thing that I noticed with Battle Cat is that his eyes are kind of tampoed in the wrong place, because like if you can see, it's really subtle, but the sculpting of his eyes is supposed to be right there, right where the edge of my fingernail is, and his actual painted eye is a little bit above that, which does not look particularly good. And it's not, it's like it's off on both sides, but to different degrees. Like I think it's a little easier on this side to see like where his eye is supposed to be right there versus where it actually is. And so yeah, that's not great, but I prefer the helmeted look anyway, and I think that looks perfectly good. These guys do have some limited articulation. Battle Cat here, his head is on a ball joint here. It's kind of like at the base of his neck, so if you turn his neck too much, it kind of disjoints itself there. But still cool that his head can rotate a little, and Each of the legs is just on a little swivel here, so they can rotate back and forth, and the tail is on a little ball joint, so it can rotate around. It's a little bit loose, but it kind of naturally just hangs in the right place anyway, so it's not too big a deal. But I think it's funny that he does even have that limited amount of articulation, because that makes this tiny guy already more posable than the vintage Battle Cat. Really, the only complaint I have with Battle Cat is, one, his eyes are in the wrong place, and two, the helmet does not stay on super well. And then He-Man, he has I don't think, oh, he does have a ball joint at the head, so you can rotate his head around. You can rotate his waist, although it feels a little bit stiff on mine. Doesn't really seem like it rotates all the way around. I wouldn't want to risk breaking it. And then both of his arms are on ball joints, so you can rotate them up and down as well. So, pretty basic stuff, but still impressive that there's literally any articulation on these little guys. These guys, so the other thing to talk about with them is that they cost, I can't remember if they're $5.99 or $6.99, which seems like kind of much for what they are. Like, I get it, they've got like a lot of little, painted details and stuff like that, but you're getting such a small figure that seems like pushing it a little bit. So it's whatever, just for picking up a couple of them, but it's the reason I'm not really going like full in on these guys. And it's funny too, is that they both cost the same amount. And like, even though like Battle Cat, you get a bit more with, I mean, you get more accessories with He-Man, but like, Battle Cat's a bigger figure, and then he's got the bigger box too. They've got these nice little, clear plastic cases here that have a little door on the back that you can just store him in if you want and display him that way. Or, if you want to display him outside the box, it's a nice place to keep the little extra accessories here. You can just clip that back in, and it's got all the cross cells on the back there. And for the Battle Cat one, it just opens in the top here, so you could display him like that. And cool. I mean, that's an all right look if you're worried about all the little pieces falling out all over the place, but I generally prefer to display them just on their own without the things. But it's nice that they have little carrying cases anyway. In terms of comparison, I don't, I don't know. Here they are with an Eternia Minis He-Man there, so you can see they're very tiny. And then here they are with the Mega Construx Battle Cat and Battle Armor He-Man, just so you can see very, very tiny there. And then here they are with Origins He-Man, who they could really be a, to scale action figure for, which is kind of cool. And last but not least, Origins Battle Cat, since those are really, the vintage and the Origins designs are really the ones that they're modeled the most after, but very, very tiny compared to their Origins counterparts. But yeah, there's not a ton else to say about them. The one thing that is kind of unfortunate about them is that because He-Man has no posability in the legs or anything like that, you kind of can get him riding Battle Cat, but you really have to kind of like stretch it to do that, and it doesn't really look good because he's kind of bending at the knees out to the side, and he doesn't quite get as low as he ought to be. So like, if that's kind of works as a display piece, but you are just kind of like bending out that plastic over time. So I don't think they look particularly good displayed that way, but I think they look just fine standing next to each other regardless. But yeah, that's pretty much all there's to say about them. Just like very cool kind of teeny tiny versions of He-Man and Battle Cat. Can't complain about that. But yeah, if you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And now, without further ado, here we have Masters of the Universe micro action figures, He-Man and Battle Cat.